All right, let's say you wanted to make something with lots of sci-fi metal panels in Blender. Normally you might mess around with stacks of 3 different modifiers, manually extruding different sections of geometry, marking seams, edges. All of this work can be repetitive, so I created panel tools, a set of geometry node tools that streamlines your ability to create sci-fi meshes. So let's go ahead and take a look at what these tools can do. This first tool affects the entire object and is a pretty good way to add the appearance of smaller details, so I decided to call it Greeblify. That's kind of what it does. Let's say you don't want anyone to know that you never deleted the default cube. You can go up to Panel Tools, select Greeblify Objects, and you'll immediately see the results, as well as some user-exposed options down at the bottom. So you have the option to adjust the way the output looks. By default, we have something that looks a bit like a Borg cube, I guess. But if we decrease the subdivisions, we can get something that looks smaller in scale. So instead of greeblies, the extruded faces read a little bit more like panels. And then we can further alter this with some of the other panel tools. So if we hop on over to Edit Mode, we can see the other tools that we have available. We have a Greeblify selection, which is doing basically the same operation, just on selected faces. This does require a lot of subdivisions, so that parameter is exposed, so you can control how much the model gets subdivided each time you run this. We'll go ahead and undo those changes so we can look at some other tools. And for these, let's actually go ahead and add a plane and give it some subdivisions. So if we select some of the newly created geometry, we can go to Panel Tools and create panels from our selection. Here we have the options to change the height of the panels as well as the amount of the bevel. You can see there. And we can keep making different panels to fill out the surface. If we switch back to object mode, we can see this is actually looking pretty good. But if we wanted to keep adding details, we could go back to edit mode and try out the rivet selection tool. With this tool, we can easily instantiate rivets on a selection. We have the option to adjust the size and position of these rivets, and we even have an option to create hex nuts if we want to make this look like maybe it was bolted on rather than a riveted panel. Now let's circle back to object mode to look at a couple more tools that we missed on our first pass, and these are the random rivets and random panels. And both of these do what we just saw in edit mode, using the same random selection function that the Greeblify tool does. So this can be a really quick way if you just need to slap on some extra details. You can just throw it on the entire object. Now, the last thing I'd like to look at is the material panelize. And this is a special tool for using object level displacement, texture displacement in the Cycles render engine. So special thanks to Ryan King Art for his tutorial on how to make this material. If you want to recreate this material yourself, I highly recommend that you look at his video on that. That'll be down in the description. But once you've set up the material, you can access it through Panel Tools, and Panel Tools actually makes it really easy to control how many subdivisions you want from the get-go. So subdivisions needed to run the displacement, as you can see here in Cycles once this renders. And that's a quick look at Panel Tools, a set of geometry node tools that help you streamline the process of making sci-fi metal panels on objects. Thank you for watching.